Word of today is ownership. Ownership, ownership. Meaning, ownership is taking responsibility for your actions, choices, and growth. Ownership means that I'm owning it, that it's me, and if I made a mistake, I get to say, my bad. Ownership is taking not blaming it, giving excuses, or putting it onto somebody else. Ownership shifts power back into your hands or my hands when you stop blaming circumstances or start owning decisions. Accelerates and clarity follows. Growth accelerates when you take on, this is my responsibility, right? We even have I'm taking responsibility, an affirmation inside of that. This says, I'm taking responsibility for who I am, right? And what I do. And so ownership is putting that power back in your hands. I remember a moment when something didn't work out. And my first instinct was to explain why it wasn't my fault. Later, sitting alone, realized ownership would give me power. Power excuses could never. When I owned my part fully, progress finally started. I'll say that again. I realized ownership would give me power where excuses never would or never could. When I owned my part fully, progress finally started. We live in an era where there's so many things that are happening in our world, so many things that we are out of our control, and yet we blame that on why we can't progress or why we can't move forward. And there are times when there are people who are absolutely trying to stop us from being able to hit the things that we want to do or create the things that we do. They are outside influences, but it's our internal influences that allow us to be able to move forward. And sometimes we give those as these excuses. Frederick Douglass talked about that. He could have said, my excuse is I can't read, so I have to stay where I'm at. But he figured out a way to learn how to read and became one of the greatest orators of the time that was against slavery. And so what are the things that are part of the excuses that you're making that are outside contributors instead of internal differences? And if you're able to take ownership for those things, if you're able to say, yes, this is up to me if it's going to be. I don't know if you've ever heard that. If it's going to be, it's up to me. Well, that takes away the excuses because you're saying, well, I have to do it. I think about my wife and I were actually having a conversation just the other day about the mortgage industry. And, part of what I do is reverse mortgages and stuff. And I'm saying, well, our society is in a place where people just aren't doing as many as they've done before. But that's an excuse I could use that as an excuse as to why I'm not progressing or I'm not having more loans or I'm not finding more people. But the reality is if I'm not doing the work, it doesn't matter what's happening in society. If that's available, there's somebody who wants it. I just need to find it, right? So make a connection. Who models ownership well? Who do you know takes ownership that just, hey, there are no excuses because I'm not going to give an excuse. Figure out who that person is. If you know him, go see him, go sit down with him, and even talk to him about how is it that you are able to not take excuses when everybody else is. So today, choose one conversation to be fully present. In that conversation, hopefully you will find somebody that can help you with excuses. But in order to make sure that you're there, one of the things that allows you to take ownership is I want to take ownership of that conversation, right? Be present in the moment. Put your phone down, put your eyes up, and you're present in the moment because that's something that you can do and that's something that you can control and that's something you can take ownership with. What promise are you making to yourself? I say that every day. You can make whatever promise that you would actually like to make today. But my suggestion is own a mistake without deflecting. Own something that you've done that you're not going to make an excuse for today as to why you're not able to do it. Own the one that you can control, not the things that you can't control. Whatever's happening, if the weather's bad, I guess that's a reason that you can't exercise, really? Because you don't want to go outside because it's cold. You have boots. You have gloves. You have the ability to even work out with a chair. You probably have a chair if you got a roof over your head. That there's an entire workout that you could do that will work you out harder than ever going outside. What's your excuse for not working out? What's your excuse for not eating right? Don't make that today. Make something today. Own one mistake without deflecting Now, whatever your promise is, I want you to make sure that you make that promise for today. You write that promise down today, and you do it before you go to bed. Don't forget to say it too. So you're going to make the promise, you're going to write down the promise, you're going to say it out loud verbally so it's out there, so the energy can come back to you, and then you're going to do it before you go to bed. All right, so today's word was ownership, and then we're going to finish up today with our blessing